Godzilla and King Kong. Two giant monsters, or kaiju, whose film franchises have been separate but inextricably linked. Once again, they come together in modern times to not wipe away a stain, but to reinvigorate a shared history that goes back almost to the beginning of film itself. Godzilla x King Kong, New Empire. This time, it's a post-Godzilla world, where the various titans sometimes arise, and Godzilla puts them in their place. Meanwhile, Kong, in the Hollow Earth, is struggling to find a direction with his life. And eventually, he comes across something he thought impossible. More giant gorillas. But there's a power struggle at play here. And Kong has to determine his new place in this pecking order that he's suddenly thrust into, possibly becoming a father to a young Kong, and having to put aside his differences with Godzilla once again to stop an even greater threat. This film hits the ground running and assumes you've seen all the Godzilla and Kong material already. That's the Godzilla films, the Kong films, and the Monarch TV show. And honestly, as someone who's already seen that stuff, I was not lost in the least. I knew exactly what was going on, and I enjoyed every minute of it. As a standalone, you will be lost without previous knowledge. But if you just want to see giant monsters kick each other's butts, this film has that too. You got ape on lizard, ape on ape, lizard on lizard. It's a free-for-all. There's even one lizard on crab brawl. And all I can think of is, we're going to need a lot of garlic-infused butter. Godzilla, Kong, and their various fellow kaiju all look amazing. You can see the age on the characters because of the passage of time. And they both look very organic. Everyone here looks very organic. It's obvious CGI, but it was clearly CGI done with a bit of suit work to give these creatures real life. I could suspend my disbelief and see them as living beings with thoughts and emotions, and I really felt like I was looking into a world that could actually exist. The human characters sometimes are kind of lame, but for the most part, they were okay. The standout was this one deaf girl who only spoke in sign language, although why she doesn't have an ear implant thing, I don't know. But it saved her from having to do the weird-sounding voice that deaf people have sometimes, because they can't hear themselves speak, and so they couldn't adjust their words to enunciate better. It's a common thing. But anyway, the actress, who really is deaf, was pretty good. She was presented in kind of a saint-like structure. But honestly, she also felt very human. Which is good because she wasn't supposed to feel like a lizard. Anywho, her character is the last survivor of a tribe of indigenous folks from Skull Island who were wiped out in a storm in a previous film. And she was adopted by a white lady who struggles with being a mom, but also trying to let her adopted daughter stand on her own 2 feet. She wanted to wrap her up in bubble wrap and protect her always, but let's just say the girl had other plans. We also get a couple of side characters. A sort of hippy-dippy vet who takes care of Kong. And also a blogger who almost doesn't grate on the nerves, but kind of does slightly, though he has his moments. No Millie Bobby Brown, though. That was a shock. But anyway, thankfully the human characters don't overshadow the real show, which is the kaiju. We get just enough interaction between humans and other humans and humans and kaiju so that things are a little more balanced. But thankfully, if you want to just fast forward through the human parts and get right to the action, you know, when this eventually comes out on a service that allows you to fast forward, there's plenty of action as is. From Kong fending off creatures that inhabit the world that he's in, to various kaiju battles both in the Hollow Earth and on the surface. But they don't feel rushed or boring because each one has its own charm. Speaking of charm, the locations both on the surface and inside the Hollow Earth are amazing. They look so real, even though you know that some of them aren't. The cinematography was very well done. The music, a mix of classic modern Godzilla fare and a few golden oldies, which kind of brought me back to the good old days, because that's all I used to listen to. Yeah, I'm old, but I'm not that old. I just listen to old music. Anyway, the tech on display in some of the scenes is a little crazy, but semi-believable. Kind of like the 2 Super X's from previous Godzilla films, way back in the day when it was still suit work strictly. So yeah. The story overall was easy to follow, so long as you knew what came before. And it opened doors for new branches of the franchise, and I look forward to seeing what fruit springs forth. This is Mr. J signing out and reminding you, giant monsters fighting each other will never go out of style, just like giant monsters fighting giant robots will also never go out of style. The only thing that would have made this film better would be if a Megazord had teamed up with Godzilla and Kong. Like literally any Megazord. That would have been a nerdgasm to the nth degree. But what we got was fine. Cheers. See you in the Hollow Earth.